Before the Vietnam War, graffiti was a rare sight on a soldier's helmet. The military establishment placed a heavy premium on rigid discipline and the total uniformity of the ranks. There was also the lethal reality that such distinct markings would turn a soldier into an easy mark for an enemy sniper. But this conflict broke the traditional mold, pitting a technological superpower against a poorly armed but incredibly determined foe. Vietnam introduced U.S. troops to brutal conditions that systematically eroded their conventional military advantage. In the suffocating, dense jungles, massive tanks were rendered nearly useless, and strategic aerial bombing proved largely ineffective. This was a nightmare defined by intimate, up-close, and personal guerrilla tactics. The war came as a complete and utter shock for the green conscripts of the U.S. Army. These young men had been raised in a consumer-driven society and were deeply influenced by counterculture ideals regarding the importance of individuality and self-expression. As a quiet act of rebellion, many young soldiers began decorating the camouflage cloth covers of their steel helmets. Initially, the markings were simple, such as the name of a girlfriend or a favorite music band. However, as the war progressed, slogans, symbols, and sketches began to appear on the troops' gear. Many of these were direct protests against the war itself. Some soldiers even drew out a calendar of their tour of duty, marking off every month they managed to survive. These subversive messages frequently caught the attention of high-ranking officials. When news media groups were present, soldiers sporting such inscriptions were often asked to stay away from the photographers. Such personal customizations drew media attention almost as soon as the Americans entered the conflict. Larry Wayne Chaffin of the 173rd Airborne Brigade was famously photographed with a line across his helmet stating, "War is hell." Other iconic anti-war slogans included, "Warning, being in Nam may be hazardous to your health. Make war not love, and I'm not a tourist, I live here." Even the helmet's headband, which allowed a soldier to carry useful items like mosquito repellent or a pack of cigarettes, was utilized for individual expression. Some soldiers chose to display the Ace of Spades playing card, fueled by the false belief that the superstitious North Vietnamese troops viewed it as a card of death. U.S. soldiers would sometimes place the card in the mouth of the enemy with the intention of terrifying and demoralizing the Viet Cong and NVA. In reality, it only served to confuse the enemy troops as to why the Americans kept doing this. Nevertheless, U.S. commanders did little to stop the practice because they felt it was good for morale. Some cards kept in the headband did serve a practical purpose. On patrol, each team member was assigned a specific card to aid in rapid recognition during the heat and confusion of a firefight. The North Vietnamese Army troops were not as daring as their American counterparts in their helmet doodling, but some did write a popular sarcastic saying of the time, "Born in the North, died in the South." In the years following the Vietnam War, graffiti mostly disappeared from soldiers' helmets. The consequences of the conflict led to a complete restructuring of the U.S. military, resulting in units that were more disciplined and cohesive, with very little focus on individual expression. Studying the helmet graffiti from the Vietnam War reminds us not only of the conflict between nations, but of the anti-war movement and the social identity of each soldier fighting for his country. If this exploration of the hidden symbols of war changed how you perceive the relics of the past, please subscribe and like the channel. We are unearthing the history they tried to bury. Help us plant the seeds of the future. The next vault of history will open soon.